All right, thanks everyone for being here. We're gonna talk about info sparks today. And instead of, at first I was thinking I was gonna like show everybody how to use info sparks, but then I was like, that's kind of a waste of everyone's time. And I'll tell you why. So like when you go into Matrix, you've got info sparks right here. I'm sorry, when you go log into the MLS, you got info sparks here. You can click on that. Or if you're in Matrix, you can click on it right up here in stats and info sparks. So either way, it takes you to the same place. And the reason I'm not going to spend too much time today showing you how to use it is because anyone can do that on their own and get a better tutorial than I would give by just clicking here, user manual and FAQ. Oh my goodness, sorry, someone's here to pick up their check. Pause, 30 seconds, 30 seconds.
Back to the dress.
I was wondering what he was looking over his shoulder for.
No, we're doing the Zoom. If you have your computer.
Oh, no, it's not your fault.
Well, in the video.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
Amanda was here to pick up her referral check, and she thought Tech Tuesday was live, so she's gonna watch. Okay, so anyways, I was like going through this and I was like, well, this is like all the information on how to use this. So it doesn't take you a long time. This walks you through the whole process of like how to customize reports and everything. So rather than me explain it worse than how they explain it, I want to talk about something different. I still want to talk about info sparks, but I just feel like we're all looking for good content to be sharing on social media. And that's one thing I want to talk about today. And the other thing is the information here is like backing up, it is information you can use when you're going into a buyer appointment or listing appointment, and it backs up all the things that we're saying with data, right? So if someone says to you, like, I don't know how often I get this, but it's often someone's like, oh, how's the real estate market? And I'm like, oh, it's, different, and talk a little bit about it. It's like the same conversation every time. They're like, well, I'm thinking about selling, is now a good time to sell? Instead of just saying, oh, well, it's still a good time to sell, and just kind of talking off the top of your head, set up an appointment and bring information like this. So let me just kind of show you a way you can use this. And again, there's so many ways to use info sparks. So I really encourage you guys to go to the user's manual and watch the video. But for example, let's just look at Pierce County. I just typed in Pierce County as the area, and we're just going to do pretty straightforward. All types of all price ranges, residential, all bedroom and lot size, and all of this, right? I'm not eliminating any of this, but if you want to use this as like to help you with a CMA, to look at broad average cost for single story homes, you can do that. Or if you want to do this for homes in the, above 506,000, you can do that, right? So you can do all that. You can go custom on all these different things too. But like sometimes this is good, again, whether you're using this for a social media video or a post or going into a listing appointment. This is like actual data that you can print out and bring. So like let's say I have a seller who's like considering selling, but wants to know, is now a good time? Well, I'm not going to tell you the answer to that question because it's a little bit subjective, but let's talk about what we know that is objectively true. So people are saying, oh, prices are dipping. Well, that's literally not true. I mean, if you look at this, and I mean, this is real data from the MLS. If you look at this, we've flatlined back in September. It stopped going up, but the average, the median home price in Pierce County, residential home price, has stayed the same. Like this kind of rounds, right? So it says 550, it's rounding. But those are real numbers that you can share. It also lets you, I'm pointing at my screen, but I realize you are all probably just looking at my screen. You can click on the bar over here and have some different ways of showing it. You can change it from 3 years to 2 years. I think on the line, yeah, you can go back to 10 years and show the broader scale. That's kind of crazy to see. But really my point of this meeting is to talk about how can we use this information to give the positive side of selling your home now, or the positive side of buying your home right now. You can show, what was the other one I wanted to show? Okay, this is one that I think would be really helpful for if someone's trying to figure out if they should sell right now. So this is new listings. We are almost at like pre-COVID numbers here. New listings are the lowest they've been. In February, they were the lowest they've been, 14,870 since September 2020. That's a really good reason to sell, right? Inventory is extremely low. There were less listings that came active in February than any time in the past 2 years. That'd be 2.5 years, right?
Mhm.
So I kind of want this to be like a discussion, like how can we use this information to you know, get people, get the seller reluctance, you know, get rid of seller reluctance. How can you use this information in a listing appointment? And I don't have all the answers. I just thought it would be a fun thing to discuss. And then maybe we can pivot and talk about like what data do buyers want to see that would potentially encourage a buyer to buy now versus wait. Any thoughts from anybody?
No, but I also like using InfoSparks too. I did notice when I just did the market report for this last month that pricing in like Pierce County, was it King County and Thurston County, went down like 4.something% from this time last year. So within the last year.
You were looking at Pierce County and King County, and home prices had gone down 4%.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's from last year.
I wonder if there's a way to add multiple counties. Maybe, well, let's just do this. Let's see, King County. Okay, so King County has gone down a little, but not much. I wonder why your report was showing that when this one.
So maybe it's by residential type too. So I was doing residential and condominium maybe. Oh yeah, that's
There we
why.
go.
Probably because of the condos.
It's still only going down like
Oh, weird.
slightly. I wonder why that is.
I'm gonna wait. Let me move my thingy. So I did. Oh, median. I always put it to median too, I think. Oh wait, no, maybe average.
Roughly the same. It's gone down since January, but not, it's the same as December. Huh, I wonder why that would be, why that would show a different number.
I'm looking.
That was it.
Oh, so yeah, so for Pierce County, somehow I found median sales price was down 1.14%.
From when?
And then
The year before or the month?
Yeah, within 1 year. And then King County, I found that it was down 4.35%, but I wonder now.
I wonder why there would be a discrepancy.
Oh, so I'm looking over here on like the right, see how it has like that, yeah, so see how it says like minus
There we go.
2.2. I was using that number, but for, oh, median sales price, like not sold, but like price on the market, sorry.
Where am I? I'm totally missing that.
So I guess it would be sales price.
So,
Well, obviously I'm doing something wrong there.
well, no, I'm curious because I was surprised to see this. I was surprised that, you know, January 2022 to February today, the median sale price has gone up in Pierce
So
County.
then, by looking at the thing on the right, so would you say that it's up you would say up 8.5% from 1 year ago? Is that how you would say that?
according to MLS data, obviously this is not
Yeah.
good off-market deals that weren't put into the MLS. So, you know, we can disclose that. But let's say what you're saying is true.
Yeah.
And perhaps we'll figure it out as we keep going. We'll figure out why we're having a discrepancy between the numbers that you're looking at and the numbers I'm looking at. I would still, it's all kind of posturing when you're talking to a seller. Like, for me, it's like telling people, yeah, the market's a little different from where it was as a seller. Like in the past, you know, you'd list your home on Thursday, you'd review offers on Monday or Tuesday. You'd have 7 offers to review. You'd pick the best terms and the highest offer and blah, blah, blah. And it was easy, right?
Mhm.
Now we're seeing longer days on market. You can also show that over here, days on market. Days on market has gone up. We're seeing percent of list price, meaning it was selling at 102% roughly, and now we're selling at about 100% of list price. So it is, if you look at those numbers, you might think, and you read the news, you might think, oh, well, it's a bad time to sell. But if we go to this metric here, we actually see that the market is up 8.5% over last year. That's still growing like 0.8% or 0.7% a month. So ultimately, my advice is that when you're talking to somebody about selling their home, and they're like, oh, well, that's not what the news says. The news says the market's really bad. It's a terrible time to be a seller. Say, okay, let me get some data for you and get back to you. And you can go on here, and again, you can manipulate this however you want. You can go back 1 year, 5 years, and see the greater trend. You can do it however you want to do this, but then go to your seller, print these out. I'm not sure if you saw that. You can just click print there.
Mhm.
Oops. And you can literally bring this information to them and show them like what the news is the news reports on, you know, fires. That's what everybody wants to see. Everybody wants to hear the bad news. Nobody wants to hear the good news, and show them the actual statistics. And that's really how I use InfoSparks. I use this to kind of debunk the myths and the doom and gloom that everyone is talking about in the market, and show that in reality, I mean, I thought that these numbers were going to be down a little bit. That's kind of what I thought. But even if it was down 2%, like you were saying, Christy, that's still like, it's not like you've lost a ton of equity, is what I would be telling your clients. And then as far as buyers are concerned, you can use statistics like the percent of list price. You know, in the past, people were paying well over list price. Now people are buying the home for what they're listed at or less. You can see, oh, I wonder if it was price per square foot, Chrissy. Let's look at this. Nope, it's also up. Look at that.
I know, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look it up.
If you find out where that number was coming from, I'd love to try and mimic it. So to see what you're seeing.
Okay.
I lost track of what I was saying. I lost track of what I was saying. Anyways, the idea is just like use this information when you're going into a buyer meeting. You know, when you have somebody who's really interested in buying, and they're trying to, you know, decide if now's a good time or if later's a good time. We all have a lot of things we say in those meetings, but actually bring these statistics. For me at least, I don't know, everyone's a little different. So try and figure out who you're talking to. But if you're talking to someone like me, I'm a numbers person. I don't want, you know, I don't want to hear like, oh, it's so great to own a home. You can like paint it whatever color you want. That would work on my wife. But for me, which is not an insult. That's just saying like, she thinks more with her heart. I think more with like, okay, what are the numbers, right? So with me, it would be like, okay, here's how much you're going to pay on a mortgage. Here's how much you're paying in rent. Here's the equity you're getting here, you know, and this is kind of speaking to that type of a person. This is debunking reasons not to buy now. Another way you could talk to a buyer is you could show them this. You could show them 10 years. On average, is that saying 8.5? No, it's just 8.5. Does it show you how much on average it goes up? Well, I guess you could just show them this, right? You could say in January 2022, the average or the median sale price was 500. Today it's 545. In 2021, it was 420. In 2020, it was 365. I mean, we're seeing a trend here, right? And even though interest rates have literally doubled from 2022 to 2023, we still saw 8.5% increase in values. So why would you buy a home now? Because there isn't really any evidence that the market is going down. There's one reason that the market has done this flatline, and that's interest rates. And do we believe interest rates are going to keep going up or stay this high? I don't. And what do you think is going to happen when interest rates go down? We still have massive demand. I've said this stat many times on these meetings, but a fun fact if you haven't heard it, millennials are the largest generation in the history of the world as far as total people. And millennials are turning 30, the average millennial, like the median millennial, is turning 33 this year, which is the average age of a first-time home buyer. So the largest generation in the history of the world is hitting the age that throughout history, most people buy their first home. So we have massive demand. And then going back to new listings, very low supply, 15,874 new listings in all of Pierce County in February. That's wild. And so, and then I would talk also, I mean, again, you want to talk a little bit differently when you're talking to a seller, show the seller the stats that help them, and then show the buyer that this information and explain to them that something I say a lot is I bring up COVID and how when COVID hit, building stopped for 6 to 12 months. And so we are so behind on building. So there's no evidence that that we're going to see a mass increase in inventory. And in my opinion, there's a lot of evidence that interest rates are going to go down, especially leading up to the next election. So anyways, we could talk about this all day, but ultimately the moral of the story for me is find data that supports what you're telling people. Like you guys all have reasons you're telling people it's a good time to buy. You all have reasons you're telling people it's a good time to sell. Don't just say that, like provide the information so that they can see it and know that you're not just like a salesman trying to get them in a home and get your commission. To shift to
Isaac, I found where I got that information.
Let's hear it. I want to hear it.
Okay. So, you know, like when you go to the current statistics on the Northwest MLS, it wasn't even on InfoSparks. So like, you know, when you go to the summary reports.
Okay. That was where I was going to go next. Okay. So
yeah.
We click on fast stats.
No, it wasn't fast stats. Like you just click on the Northwest MLS and then click on stats and news.
Okay.
And then click on current statistics. Oh, stats and news. So I just click on the very top of Northwest MLS. Sorry. Yeah, that.
Okay.
And then I click
there we
on
go.
stats.
Sorry.
Yeah. And then it says current statistics.
Okay.
Yep. And then click on all Northwest area recaps.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one's going to be residential and condo. See where it says King County and then it says closed sales at the second to last column. It says percent of median price change was down 4.35%.
There we go.
So
yeah.
And then on the Pierce County one, it says down 1.14. So that's where I got that. But I wonder why is it different than on InfoSparks or like
No
what?
idea. No, this is really helpful. I'm going to get back with an answer on that because I'm going to call them and ask them. That's really
So I use InfoSparks for like my area for like Bonnie Lake when I so, brain fart. So I have like the Pierce County, King County, and Thurston County, and I use this for the counties. And then for, I was like thinking, how do I do it? And then Lake Taps and Bonnie Lake, I use InfoSpark. So, because like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I hear you completely. I'm
So,
very curious why this information is contrary to what I pulled up the first time.
yeah.
Huh. Very interesting. Well, I'm gonna get back on that one. That's I think we can go back to what we were saying though. Let's say this is true, which is fine.
Yeah.
I still think this is a very positive number, and this is a
Yep.
surprising number. Let's say this is correct, which I'm going to assume it is. So the market is down. I mean, home prices are down 1.14% in Pierce County today versus last year at this time. That's not
Which
bad.
is not
at
a
all.
bad thing, since like
Yeah.
everybody was paying like all that money over.
That's not a bad thing at all. That's crazy. I mean, obviously you want to be careful and say, this is looking at it on a macro level. And obviously some homes are different. Like I have my listing in North Tacoma they bought for 800,000, and we're going to be dropping the price to 800,000 today. We tried to sell at 840 and then 825 and 815, and now we're dropping it to 800. So they're going to lose money on it, right?
Oh, wow.
So why is that? Is that because the market as a whole is down? I don't really know exactly what it is. I have some suspicions. I guess if we want to get on this tangent, we can. I think the best answer is probably they overpaid. They bought a home without a garage, and they didn't care that didn't have a garage because they aren't car people. They have one shared car and had a driveway, and they were fine with that. And what we're finding, all the feedback we're getting is the home's great, but we really want a garage, and we went and saw it because we thought maybe we'd be able to build a garage, and there's no space to build a garage. So if those clients of mine were on this call, they'd be like, the hell it is. Like where our home price has dropped, or at least is going to sell for, what we bought it for a year and a half ago. So what do you mean the market's up? Or what do you mean it's only dipped 1%? It's not quite that simple, is my point. So you want to be careful who you're talking to. Maybe before you come to someone with this information, look at what they bought their home for. If they bought it for recently, make sure you're not gonna put your foot in your mouth and say, oh no, your home's worth 5% more than when you bought it 2 years ago, and then be like, oh shit, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's always possible somebody overpaid for a home.
Yeah.
That's always a possibility. So
yeah,
that was something I was just thinking about as I was kind of preparing for this. So the next thing I wanted to show you guys is thank you, Christy, for showing us this. I didn't know you could get to it this way. It sounds like there's a lot of ways to get to this information. But when you're in InfoSparks, you can also go to Fast Stats here, and you can click on an area, or you can just click on your county. So let's click on Pierce County. You can click on a specific zip code. I'm confused. Oh, Tacoma area zips. There we go. So you can click on Tacoma area zips. You can hone in on like a very specific zip code. So like, let's just click on 98405, and it will literally give you this super cool report that you can.
Oh my God.
Did you know this?
No.
Yeah. So you can now bring to somebody a listing that you have in 98405, bring them this information. And I know I say this all the time in these meetings, but the reason you're doing this is not necessarily that this is going to like be the reason you get the listing. It may be that the buyer is just, the seller is someone who doesn't even care about statistics like this. They just like you and trust you. But if they're interviewing you and somebody else, and you come in with your pre-listing packet and your cloud CMA, and this, and the things that we've talked about in other meetings, like talking to them about assumable loans and stuff like that, and somebody else comes in with a smile and a business card, I feel like you'd have to really suck at your job to not get that listing. Like seriously, how would someone not pick you?
A smile and a business card has worked so far, so I can only imagine the possibilities moving forward.
Well, and a smile and a business card is oftentimes all you need, honestly. But actually that I'm glad you said that, because I have a story about how a smile on a business card didn't work. I back a year and a half ago, when the market was just easy, everything, I mean, it was hard when you're representing buyers, but like everybody wanted to buy and sellers were like, woo, we have so much equity. It was like, it was easy. And I had somebody who was like a friend, not just an acquaintance, interview me. And he was like, hey man, I want to list my home. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, man. Like, let's set up a meeting. And he said, okay, sounds good. When are you available? Forgot to reply to the text. I'm really good at like staying in touch with clients, but somehow I missed the text. Week later, I said, oh, sorry, dude, I totally missed this. I'm available, tomorrow or whatever. And so set up a time, I show up to the listing. I had a lot going on, and that's not an excuse, it's just a reason. And I go there, I didn't even print out a pre-listing packet. I'm like, oh, wow, man, the house looks so great. Yeah, this home's gonna sell, no trouble. It's gonna be easy. Shook his hand, it was all good. Got back to him a couple days later with the CMA. Didn't hear from him, called him like 2 weeks later, and he said, yeah, man, I'm actually gonna go with somebody else. He just had this really great marketing plan and da-da-da. I was shocked, but well, shocked because I thought I had it. But then when I thought about it, I was like, of course he didn't hire me. I half-assed that completely. I just assumed, oh, it's a friend. Of course he's gonna list his home with me, we're friends. And so I totally mailed it in. I just was so cavalier about all my conversations with him, because I thought I had it, and I thought, well, we're friends, so I'm going to get the listing. But a lot of times people don't just hire you because they're your friend. A lot of times they want to interview you because they're your friend. But then if you don't come in prepared and somebody else just happens to call them and said, hey man, do you know your home's worth this? Let me show you how I can list your home. It's like, I 100% deserve to not get that listing. 100%. And it hasn't happened since. It was really such a good lesson for me, because I'd done that before and gotten away with it. But that will never happen again. I mean,
that hurts.
It really hurt, but it also was not surprising at all. It was, of course he didn't hire me. Why would he have hired me? I was pathetic.
Aww. Well, lesson learned, I'm sure.
For sure. Lesson learned. And ultimately, I think the moral of the story for today is just like, don't assume that people have this information or know what's going on, and show up to every appointment like you're competing against 10 other brokers and make it really hard for them not to hire you. And this information is just, it's such good information. And this way you can actually talk to them about real numbers, as opposed to, the market seems to be pretty good. I mean, how often do we say that? Like but we're not backing it up with actual statistics. And then lastly, I already mentioned it, but take this and do a video. These are great. This is great videos to do, or even just posting on Facebook. I mean, we're always looking for good content to share with our sphere, and good content to post on social media. And this is killer content. Imagine if every time you went to an open house, you had this report from that zip code that the open house is in, and said, hey, if you're interested in knowing what's going on in this area, here's a report. Give that with a flyer.
Yeah, that's a really good idea too.
And as you can see, it doesn't take time at all. These are not reports that you have to do a lot of work on. I mean, you can really quickly just go click, 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 and figure it all out. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, that's all I got. I hope that was helpful.
That was good. I liked it. I want to figure out how, I mean, this is kind of off topic, but not really, instead of printing out all the stuff for open houses, I wonder how you could create a QR code, have a picture of the house, maybe with the QR code, people scan it, you capture their email address, their name, so you can add them to your database automatically, but then it also at the same time pulls up the house info or whatever they need right from their phone. So then every single time you're hosting an open house, you don't have to print out 20 sheets of paper, different things. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. I want to figure that out next. How would you do that?
So if you go to what's our Rachel, what is our
You can make them on Canva.
The QR code?
Yeah. You can generate a QR code from anything
I
to
think I need to
anywhere.
figure out, because like if my idea is like I want to capture people to add them to my database.
The only way I was able to do that was through Brivity. It was the CRM, but it was through Brivity that you generated the QR code. And so I used to do that at my open houses, and they would scan the QR code, put in their information as the sign-in, and it would go directly into my CRM. But that was offered through Brivity. I don't know if OneSuite offers something like that. What you could do is, because I had a client get dumped into OneSuite just by signing up on my page. So you could generate the code to your page on our website, and they will fill out that information, and that's how it goes directly into OneSuite. You see what I mean? Like make the QR code to your page, they put in their information. That's how it goes into OneSuite from there.
So are you using the OneSuite CRM?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
so
Yeah, it literally does everything Brivity did, besides the QR code generation thing from Brivity, but
Yeah.
you can generate them to go anywhere.
but I think all you need is the landing page. So if
Definitely.
OneSuite does the landing page, so
I used my website, our broker website, that was the landing page. But I also had it attached to a property that they were interested in.
Hmm.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
So if you're in OneSuite, you click on open house form. I just typed in my listing and it gives you this.
Okay.
Perfect.
So essentially, yeah, you could create like a flyer with like a picture of the house in the background and then have the QR code on top. Yeah, that's awesome, because then yeah, so then you're capturing people and then you would just sort them later in OneSuite as okay.
So I'm looking
Cool.
to see what those QR codes do exactly.
That is so perfect.
Yeah. So it says open house registration, they put their information in and they can give you feedback. And then the other one, they can scan for property details. And so let me see what that does.
Mm-hmm. I like it. See, I'm not so sad about leaving Brivity now.
Oh yeah,
so then
Isaac, I could see your info. Yeah, that is so cool. Okay, I'm definitely doing this now. That's a really good.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like
we
it.
learn something every day when we're
Yeah.
I didn't even know any of this information. Rachel, did you know about this?
She's taking a Taco Bell break.
Yeah, for real. I know about like what Tiffany was saying with using QR codes and stuff like that in Canva, but no, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is
perfect.
I mean, that literally took me like a minute to calculate that. And
now like
they've updated so much of OneSuite, like from when it changed to from Sync to OneSuite, and then now they're still working on updating. So even when we made the original video about the transition to OneSuite, they were still going through and updating it and adding. So this might be something fairly new altogether.
yeah, I think this would be another cool meeting idea to really dive into the open house tools on OneSuite, because yeah, I didn't know this was possible. And I feel like you can just export this if you don't, I mean, this looks really lame, this page right here. So if you can export these QR codes and have like one flyer that maybe you laminate, and it says here, digital flyer, scan here, sign in here, and they just have to scan it from their phone. That'd be clutch.
Man, so
Mhm.
clutch. Yeah.
It works.
And then you don't have to print out like all the stuff for open houses, like the sign-in sheet with the pen, and then like the 20 house flyers, and then
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is
Usually
so
just
much
put it in a
easier.
clear case, you know, the clear.
yeah, I have that
cases.
too.
That's
Yeah,
why, yeah, just stick it right there.
yeah, yeah, that's so good.
Cool. Well, this is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's all I got. Thank you for the group participation, Tiffany and Christy. That was helpful. I learned something new.
Thank you so much for this.
Thanks,
awesome
Isaac.
Zoom. Learned
Yeah,
something
no
new
problem.
too with the area codes.
Yeah,
but
for
I didn't
sure.
know about that.
Helpful.
That was definitely a win. That was a win.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks. All
And yeah,
right.
I mean, whenever we do meetings like this, I think, because of situations like this where we all Tiffany, you brought up the QR codes and we started looking into it and we all like kind of learn from each other. I mean, I want these conversations to be conversations and not just, me talking. So this is helpful. So
That's when magic happens, when everyone gives a little bit of input, you know?
For sure.
All right, guys. See you later.
all right, guys.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.
Happy Sunday.